Guys, and welcome to Optional Enterprises watch list for the end of June. Today is 6:30, 2019, and we're going to go over my watch list here. So, we're going to start out with Abbott Labs, and you can see Abbott Labs has had a pretty nice strong run up here. It's been triggered for a reversal on the monthly chart. We want it to stay below the 84.32 for an entry. And our price target on this one is going to be 80.15. We might see it kind of bounce off a little bit here around this trend line. Ultimately, though, I do believe this one is headed lower. But that being said, this week we received some good news with the China Trump, uh, I guess you'd call it a deal. So we're looking for bullish activity in the market, so we won't be paying too much attention to our shorts this week. Nevertheless, these are long-term reversal signals, so that means that we can be looking for something more like this that we see here. Next, we have Alliance Data Systems. This is a bullish play, so this one might be something to keep a close eye on this week. We were triggered on the weekly reversals, and we're looking for it to break resistance for a rally to 145.22, and all my annotations are usually within the time frame that they are put on, but this one I annotated on the yearly chart, so we can see here. Whoa, hold on, get a little too excited there. So we wanted to break this resistance. We see we've got some great volume here. We might see it pull back. Ultimately, though, we want to see it break this resistance for our rally. Next, we have American Corp. So this one, you can see I've got pretty marked up here, but we're looking, this was for a triggered on a monthly reversal. This might have a temporary rally back up to our fib levels here around the 75, 78, 76.08, and possibly, I don't see it happening. We might see 77.77, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to bounce off these 76.05, 75, 78s, and ultimately we're going to head lower to our fib price cluster levels. We can see the strongest one we have is around the 74.70s area. So, there's about 20 cents of difference there, so this has become a pretty strong support level. We want to see it break that support level, ultimately to head lower to some of our other price clusters. So maybe around the 73.55, 73.30s, 20 cents different there. Ultimately, we want to see this get down to 70.95, which is our support level, which is I think where it's headed. Actually, while we're here, let's go ahead and put this in. I should have done this already. Okay, so we want that. Alright, next we have AMC. This one is very interesting. We've just breached all-time lows, which was 925. We're holding above that. We want it to hold above that. We want to see some increased buying volume for a rise up to maybe the 10s. So about a 70 cents gain, but the options are cheap. The spreads are kind of wide, 10 cents. But, if you were to play these 950s for 20 cents, get them on the mids for maybe around 25, $250 could turn into 1,000 pretty easy. So something to watch. I like it. I'll be watching it pretty closely this week because this is a bullish play, and this week is expected to be bullish, unless of course this is a sell the news type of week. Okay, so American Tower is our next. And we can see we've got this triggered on a monthly reversal. We've got a shooting star right there, a very beautiful candle for a fallback to support. So my ultimate target for this one is going to be 198.90. And if we can't hold there, then we're going to see this trend line real soon. Air Products and Chemicals Incorporated, ticker symbol APD. So this one, let's look at my notes here. Looks like we've got a triggered weekly reversal. We might break the current high for a short-term rally up. Ultimately, though, this is a short, something to watch when the market begins to turn. No recommendations on this one this week. I do expect a 50% retracement, possibly down to some of our price clusters here. We can see we got a pretty strong price cluster right around 216.48. ARQL, another short that is triggered. We've just risen above a pretty strong resistance level here. You see that this one goes back actually to a couple points. I didn't draw my line all the way back there, but nevertheless it served as great support back here. A great barrier that it broke and eventually rallied. Then it broke, held above, rallied again, stayed above it, and when it finally broke, it broke down and could never get back above it. So this is a pretty critical level. You can see we've got huge volume on ARQL. The options are pretty cheap for these. You got 20 days of time. You can even go out 47 days, for around 70 cents. Get in with some of this open interest, some of this volume. You can see we've got huge open interest right there on the 10s. So that tells you something, but ultimately I think this one is a short back to support. We want to see it break below this 1059 level, fall back down to 971. I do not have some fib levels on this one yet, but ultimately we're looking for 50% retracement of this large green candle here. So ANTX looks like we were triggered on a daily. If it breaks resistance right here around the 1980s, we want to hold off on this because we might see this 2090 area again. Ultimately, though, I think we're going to fall back to support. That is actually what I think is going to happen on Monday or Tuesday. We'll see 1909, so it's about an 80-cent move. American Waterworks. So this one has broken below a pretty good support level here. And I should have done this before. So we'll do it right now. Got a low of 101.92. And another low of 85.89. And ultimately, I think this one being triggered on a monthly, so it's a longer term play. I think we'll see this trend line again. Which we actually just got confirmed. So if we can't break this resistance level, then we're going to fall back down to it. We want to see it break this pretty strong resistance level here, which is also a strong support right there. Whoops. There's a strong support level right there. So if we break this area here, then we're looking for a short down to 112. Okay, next one we have is Axum Therapeutics. Let's see what my charts say about this one. Okay, it looks like we were triggered on the monthly and weekly, so pretty strong reversal signal. What we're looking for is a flag pattern setup here ultimately, so I think a fallback to support or 22.96 would be a reasonable assumption. Ultimately, that would cause us to have a flag pattern and maybe a move higher, but that is thinking way further than we like to think. We're thinking this week. So this week, I think we're looking for a reversal back down to 26.45. AYX, this is a strong reversal pattern triggered on the weekly, and I believe that we can see a fallback to support around here, the 104.46 area, which we saw. We actually already got that, but I think given this strong volume here, we might actually fall back again. Now this is a flag pattern though, so this flag could push us higher back up to the 111.89s. If we do happen to break the 111.89 again, then we're looking for a push back up. Ultimately, this one is a strong short candidate though. Alright, Baidu. See, this one's been setting up very nicely, holding this support level, staying above this trend line. We want to see it break this price target that was our price target from last week. We want to see it break that price target to eventually get to 123.27. Alright, so Big Lots. Big Lots has been doing pretty well for us. We see we broke this trend line. So we're gonna adjust that now. That will become our new trend line. So ultimately, we want it to stay above this trend line and break this resistance, stay above this resistance for a price target of 31.73. But not before we see some resistance right around this area. Not sure what all these candles are. Let's go ahead and remove those. So 30.30 might be our price target for this week, actually, after taking a closer look at the chart here. But again, we want it to stay above this resistance level. If it can't, then we're looking for it to at least hold support on this trend line for rallies back up. CME, I have strong expectations for this one to continue selling. This was triggered on the monthly. If it breaks the resistance, though, we're looking for a rally to 199.47, which is our fib level, the 23.6 right there. But I don't expect it to get much above that. We ultimately are expecting it to honor this trend line right here. So play with caution on this one. We see we've got some strong selling. This was a beautiful play for us. It's about $20 right there. So next one, CenturyLink. Bullish on CenturyLink. See, we've got a pretty nice little flag set here. We want to see it break this resistance level for a rally up to this resistance level here. So around the 266 to 289 areas, somewhere around there. Actually, you know what? We're going to lower this. I don't like where that is. That's a little generous. We're going to go to the low of this candle. So 1274. Call 1274 our target. That seems a little safer. If we can break above this resistance and get the buying pressure that we need, that's about $1. So, CTL is not expensive. Pretty cheap to play these options. Nice spread. So $1 on something like this could do very well for you. Dollar General. Let's see here. We are looking at a pullback to the 10 EMA. This is my last week's chart. So since I have not annotated this one, I know this one was a strong reversal on the daily, and we seem to be holding these fib levels here, the 50% retracement. I have no recommendations for DG. It's still on my watch list. I'm not exactly sure why. That pullback was our play last week, and that worked out pretty well for us. Alright, so Euronet Worldwide Inc. Looks like we were triggered on a weekly reversal. If it breaks the long-term trend, look for a rally higher. We've got a candle over candle here, which is a pretty strong support level. Ultimately, we want to see it break below and get out of the range of this first candle for a short back to 160.67 or about an $8 move. If it can't close above this long trend line, if we see it bouncing around, then expect a pullback. So we are short on EQT, or on EEFT. Sorry, EQT is the next one. And it looks like we have a triggered reversal on daily. So we've got this confirmed by some pretty strong volume, more volume than we've seen in a while for this one. And if it can hold this support level of 1565, then we're looking for a rally to 1656. So I would wait, unless this thing starts buying right out the gate, I'd wait for a pullback here and then get in long for the dollar move. Glue Mobile, this one has finally given me something that I like. Got a pretty good candle right there, and we have closed above this long-term support, which is what we want to see. Ultimately, we're looking for a price target. Properties on the right, Okay, so 783. So not a great move, 70 cents. Again, the options on Glue Mobile are relatively cheap, kind of a widespread. You can see the open interest here, though. A lot of people expecting some bullish moves. Go out a little further, you see long term, you've only got people adding to the calls, no additions to the puts, more adding, not too much going on out here. So this one might be a slower comer. We still got 47 days out and we got people adding, but we can see the primary amount of open interest is based around the July 19th. So I would expect that whatever Glue is going to do, it's going to happen before the 19th. Okay, next one we have is gold. Gold, again, is relatively cheap options, so you can get great returns on your money so long as you pick it. Right now we're holding this trend line. We're holding above this support level. Depending on what gold does, I think we're ultimately going to break below this trend line for a short. So if we can break this support, maybe be looking for 1532, then ultimately down to 1462 to fill this gap. Halliburton, looks like Yep, so this one is the same. I kept it as last week. Last week our price target was 23.26. You can see that we made that. Could not break above it, but we are holding just right underneath it. We want to see it break that price target for a possible rally up to the 24.23 area. So about $1.50. Again, Halliburton options are not expensive. You know, if you're playing close term, 33 cents. If you wanted to give yourself a little bit of time, say about 40 days, you get in for about $1. Not a lot of open interest out here though, so might want to focus on the Julys, where we see a great amount of calls. Got some heavy interest in the 25, so we can expect that we're not going to get above the 25s, but I also don't see it getting below the 22.50s. Alright, so we got HGV. This is triggered for a very strong reversal. And let's find my notes. Okay, I didn't actually put any notes on this one, so I must just think that this one is a reversal. Obviously, we want to see it bounce off this resistance level for a fall back to support or 30.78. So wait for it to bounce up here, which I do think it's going to do. We've got some pretty strong volume. We might even break it. Ultimately, though, I think 30.78 is the long-term target for this one, especially considering this rally. So yeah, we want to see it break this trend line, bounce off this resistance. If it can't bounce off the resistance, we definitely don't want to see it break anything around here. You know, I don't think we'll get as high as 33.94. I really do think we're going to bounce off this. We're going to see it close and break below this for a short down to 30.78, which is, you know, about $1, $2 if it gets up here. Hershey, this was a short that we made last week, and it looks like I have no notes on Hershey. I expect just consolidation for right now. The stock is too strong and has too many interests for it to continue lower right now, but I do think the long-term trend for Hershey is going to be a strong pullback. Okay, Illumina, I know this one popped up on a lot of people's radars as being incredibly overbought. The fact that it popped up on the news makes me a little leery that this was triggered as a strong reversal as far as I'm concerned. Um, but things that are usually overbought become more overbought. Just seems to be a rule that I've observed in the market. So I'd be a little leery about going short on this one right away. But I do have a price target of around 350.36 in mind for this one long term. We might see it get up to these highs of 372.61, but we're going to want to pay close attention to it around that area, because that, I believe, is where we'll start seeing some selling pressure. Just something to keep an eye on. As far as the stock this week, I don't think this is going to be a play this week, but this is definitely going to be something that we want to continue to watch. Okay, next one. INGR, Ingredient Incorporated. So this is a bullish play, so another one to keep an eye on this week. We see we've got a pretty nice, strong candle there holding the support level. We want to see it break this resistance. We can get above this resistance of 83.38, then looking for a price target of 86.65. And let's go ahead and just put this in here right now so I don't have to later. 79.96. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Next one we got is Intel. Intel, I've been following pretty closely for almost a month now. Obviously, we caught these nice little runs here, made quite a bit of money off these little bounces here. See where that we are right at resistance, and we closed below it. And we are also violating, well, actually on a shorter time frame, I actually don't believe we closed below our trend line, so that is not good news for Intel. We could actually see this support level again. We want to see it stay above this resistance for a possible rally up to fill this gap. That seems like a stretch, given that semis have been moving a lot this past week. So I think ultimately we're going to see some consolidation for Intel. So just stay away for that one for now. JWN, this is an entry. This is a long position. This gap down below this trend line. Got some good volume. Still holding this long-term support. Ultimately, we want to see this get back up to the resistance level of 33, and then for a price target of 33.77 again. CarMax, looks like we were triggered weekly and on the daily for a reversal. I triggered this last week. We were dead wrong, or I was dead wrong, and this one rallied another 4 points, it looks like. But we're still staying below this candle, so as long as we can stay below this candle, I think we'll see this trend line again. Break that trend line, that's what we're looking for a short back to 79.61. Kohl's Corporation. This one I definitely like. We want to see it break resistance for a rally up to 51.15. Lockheed Martin, obviously been in the news, merger and acquisition, some big deal going on with them. We see we've got some price clusters. We've got the 236, another 236, and a 382. That's where it seems to have found its support. I think we're going to hold that support for a rally higher. LVS, Las Vegas Sands Corp. This one was a good play for us about 2 weeks ago, and actually last week, it looks like. But we see that we are just barely hanging on to this 382. The trend line has been violated, closed above it. We want to stay there if we're looking for a rally back up to the 61.45s. MDB, it's like we wanted to break first for short to 150. So we already got this. These are my notes from last week. And it looks like we're holding strong on this support level here. This would be a new support level. And these would become our resistances. So we could be looking for some pops up to the resistance on these. This one obviously has got some strong selling, but we saw some strong buying, so we could see again up to the 163.70s area, especially if markets are green coming Friday. But ultimately, I think this one is a continuation of a short, so we'll see where the first pivot is created. Hopefully it's a lower high, so we can find a pivot to follow down. MDT. So this one looks like a break support for short to trend line. So we have not broken the support. You can see that we are bouncing around there. If this consolidation continues, we might see it go higher, but this was triggered on, well, it doesn't say actually where it was triggered. I'll have to look that up after I get done here. But this one I know is triggered as a short. We want to see it break this 96.50 areas to come back and confirm this trend line. Mosaic. We see that we have hit in price target here, and you know what? Let's go ahead and load a set. Since some of my notes are actually based on that. Okay, so if we can hold this price target here on this strong volume and not consolidate back to support, which is pretty likely given this run up. You know, it's about a 20% move in the stock, so you know, after 20% move, consolidation would not be uncanny. But if we do in fact decide that markets are strong enough and we want to hold this price target, I see a rally up to possibly our 200 EMA. That might be a little generous, maybe somewhere around the 26.52 areas. So it's still another $1.50. Again, Mosaic is not an expensive stock. You can see you can go out about 20 days, still get this thing for under $1. If you're a little more conservative and you want to play some monthlies, you can still get out. You can still get in for $1 for the out of the monies. I always like to play at the monies. We can see some relatively strong open interest in Mosaic. So obviously the smart money is in the calls, but that does not mean that they have interests this week in getting in some shorts and bringing this back to support for a nice, good, strong rally up to the 10 or the 200 EMA. Newmont, I believe this is a short this week, but it relies on what gold does. I think ultimately we're going to see it at least come back down to the bottom of this gap, which is 37.38. So about $1 move. Really, I think we're going back to support or this trend line. Neo, I played this one last Thursday. Lost $500 on it. Thought this little guy right here was our chance to shoot above this 10 EMA. I believe we're going to get that this week, and we're going to see 323 this week. Paycom software. Okay, so we were triggered on the weekly and the monthly. We wanted to stay below resistance for a fall to support, so we want to see it stay below 227.41. That would be ideal for a short back to 215.38. That's about $10. This one is a little spendy to get into, but if you're one of the big money players, then you know a handful of these contracts, maybe 10 of them, would be more than enough to make your week's pay. Paysign. I think ultimately this one's coming back down to support. We want to see it stay below 1363s, and we want to see it break 1286. So let's go ahead and annotate that. I seem to have just jumped right over that. Let's see, the high of this candle is 1274. So we want to see a break 1274. And if we can get that break, then I would be interested in a short position back down to 1102. That's about a $1.70 move. That's good money on Paysign. Paysign, it's a little expensive to get into, but you can obviously see you can get yourself some time. Not a lot of open interest though, so definitely something to play light. Maybe 10 contracts. Something that you can just get in and out of real quick. Procter & Gamble, I believe this one is a continuation of a short. Ultimately, I think 108.18 is where we're going to get to before we see another bounce, especially if markets decide to open up green. I see healthcare's not doing well this week, but I would be leery. If you follow me on Instagram, you got my alert before market open of the potential head and shoulders setup that we have here. So if you played this already, no reason to play it again. I just still think that 108.18 is the target. We didn't quite make it there the other day, but this was about a $2 move, which is good money for anybody, I think. Planet Fitness, this one is a short, absolutely, no doubt in my mind. This is triggered on a monthly reversal. I think we're going to see 68.13 pretty soon. That's about $4. We see that our short, actually, I did not put this on my watch list last week, but I still think this one goes lower. Roku, after this epic short that we've gotten here, we are below our trend line, but we found a pretty strong support level right here. So let's go ahead and just annotate that. We're going to put this at the close of 89.98. And that will be our support. This one I expect consolidation on. Looks like it was triggered on the weekly and daily for reversals. So the daily chart, I believe, has already played out. The weekly, though, I believe still has some more room to run. So we could see the lower end of this channel. But I think ultimately we're going to see some consolidation, maybe a rise back up to this 97.30 and then a fall. And then retracement somewhere down into here. So, C Limited. I believe this one is a short. Looks like it was triggered on the weekly, looking for a pullback to support. So 32.44. Looks like we got that yesterday, or not yesterday, last week. So for this one to continue lower, we want to see it break below this 10 EMA, break below the support, and we could see 31.46. But this one doesn't have a whole lot left to run. I do not have my trend lines drawn on this one. I still think this one is a short though. Shopko, or not Shopko, sorry, they are bankrupt. Shopify. Woo. Anyways, consolidation, then continuation of selling to the 265 target. So we're going to see some consolidation, I think, around this trend line. I don't think we're going to see above 312.70 this week. We might rally up to there. Ultimately, though, I want to see this thing get down to 265.10. All the signals are there. This volume is pretty weak, so if we don't see this volume increase, then I think these are going to be sellers off this 10 EMA, break this trend line, and that's where I would go for the short down here. State Street, this is my pick of the week. I like this one. I will be looking for entries this week on this one. Not a great move, but I'm a little more conservative, especially after what I've been through in the trading world. So this is about a $2 move up to 64.38. But we want to see it break this 57.82 area first. So that might not happen this week, but this is one that I like very much for the setup. It's got the volume. It's got pretty much everything that I'm looking for. It broke above that 10 EMA. It's holding a long-term support line, and one of the most important things that has proven to be very useful, it's triggered on the monthly, weekly, and daily for a reversal. So that's a strong reversal signal. Most of those, I would have to say 90% of those work out, and we've got the volume. It just looks like a really good setup for a reversal play. State Street is not expensive to get into, considering what it is. It's got reasonably good spreads. The open interest is there. The volume is there. So I think this one might be a good play. AT&T triggered on the daily for a reversal, looking for a rally to resistance and then enter a short, and we might be looking for a 50% retracement of this candle. So maybe we see the 200 EMA. I think AT&T is a short term. Ultimately, we're definitely going to see this thing go higher, especially with 5G coming out. Tiva, I think we make our price targets this week on this one, plain and simple. 1096 is where I expect this thing to get to this week. Tiva is a relatively cheap play. You can definitely buy yourself a lot of time, and you can get in these. You see here, we see it had a lot of volume. So the calls saw a lot of volume, a lot of people adding to the calls, which told me that this was probably going to be the week for Tiva. It took almost 2 weeks for this thing to actually even get to the way it is, but I think we definitely see 1096. Target, it looks like, what do my notes tell me? Triggered on the weekly, rally to resistance, can't close above it, look for a short to support. Okay, so let's bring this out to the yearly chart. Alright, so if we can't close above this resistance up here, 89.15, then we're looking for a short, ultimately back down to 83.48. So 83.48 is my ultimate target on target. TLT, if we cannot break this 133.51 area, looking for that short to support. So 130.23 I believe is my target this week, especially if markets decide to open up green. Tesla, we've gotten the consolidation that we were looking for. I think this one rallies to the 236.35 areas, or this upper trend line, also a fib level. Looks like it's providing some pretty strong support. I'd like to see it get above this 50 EMA, and that would be a good entry for a long. Twilo, activate drawing. Let's see what we got here. Triggered monthly reversal. Short to support. So plain and simple, did not a lot. Looks like 121.69 is my long-term target for this. Before an entry, I'd like to see it get below this 50 EMA. Looks like a third attempt at that might be our trigger that we're looking for. United Gas, looks like consolidation, hold trend for long position. Didn't quite make our price target last week of 20.53. We want to see it get up there and then break for a possible run higher. Vive, activate drawing. Looks like triggered weekly reversal, short to long-term support, long-term channel trend if it can break and hold below the 10 EMA. So if it can stay below this 10 EMA, then we're looking for a fallback to this trend line, or basically a fill of this gap. Weibo, this one is definitely a long position that I believe in. I think we see our price target this week, 45.54. They just sold a bunch of bonds, so maybe that helps us get there, maybe not. You can see we've tested this support level multiple times though, which is great stuff we'd like to see. Got above this 10 EMA, we're holding it, bounced off the 20. Ultimately, we're looking for this thing to get to 45.54 this week. That's about $2. And Weibo isn't expensive. You know, you can get into this one. If you go 20 days out, $1.85, not too bad. Whatever, buy 10 of them and get the $2. That's 50 cents. That's $1 return on your $1.85 for just under 50%. or just over 50%. WIPO, or World Play, sorry, World Play. I believe this one is a short. It's pretty resistant. It's kind of a low float. Doesn't trade heavily all the time. So see, we got a strong candle there, but we're holding that 20. We want to see it break that 20. If we can get that break, then I think ultimately we see 119.43, or that's about $3. World Play is a little more expensive to get into though. Spreads are horrible, but nevertheless, some money can be made if you get into the right options. I think I just deleted it. Wynn Resorts. Okay, so Wynn Resorts, we see that we are holding our. Well, actually, it looks like we closed below our trend line. Yep, we closed below our trend line. We're holding this. I would just stay out of Wynn Resorts right now. Looks like I originally thought hold trend for rally to resistance. And where did I mark our resistance? So it looks like I was looking for 127.16, which is the 200 EMA, the 50% retracement of the fib. Also, it aligns right with our trend line, so that's a possibility, but I think I'm going to be just watching Wynn this week with no actual recommendations for a play. Exxon. I believe we're going to get higher on this one. We want to see it hold support for a rally to price target. Enter on close above the 200 EMA. So we want to see it get above this 200 EMA before we start thinking about getting to 79.78. That would be about a $2 move. $2 for, again, at the money options, 50 cents. It's about $1 return on your money depending where you decided to play. I mean, I do believe this is going to happen this week, so you could get 100%, close to 100% return on your money, 90%, so not too shabby. I can't even say this, but triggered on the monthly reversal, triggered on the weekly reversal, and this is a short position. Looks like we're looking for a short back down to this trend. That seems to be where the shorts tend to happen. See that we made new highs, but we're selling. We want to see it get below this 10 EMA, and we could see that short down to 71, which is about $5. ZS options, I haven't even looked at them yet. Looks like the spreads really aren't horrible, 25 cents if this move happens quickly. So I'd be watching this one for a break below. Alright guys, so that does it for me. That is my watch list for this coming week. Remember, we've only got 4 trading days this week, and we close early on Thursday. So this might not be the best week for plays, only because of the holiday week, but things are going to move. So go over this watch list again, find one that you like. Remember, you only got to find one based on the knowledge that you already have. And I appreciate you watching. I hope this helps anyone who decides to watch this watch list. Thank you, and have a good night.